People have cars here that they park here just for the summer.
If money was less of an insecurity, then these things wouldn't exist. You know how a lot of people would say that the UAE is quite like superficial, or a lot of people that we know that have experienced it has said that it's very materialistic. What do you feel like the main difference is between the UAE and Egypt?
I don't think it's just about living a lifestyle that you can't afford, because maybe you can afford it, but it's just this like constant upkeep, physically, materialistically.
Yeah.
The thing is, within Egypt, there's so many, we were talking about this the other day, there's so many cultures within just Egypt. It's a huge country. It's not huge, but it's a big country with so many different social classes, with so many different areas. If you go to Said, it's different to Cairo, it's different to Alexandria, it's different to Siwa, it's different, all these places. We even went to, over New Year's, I went to the desert, the White Desert, and next to the White Desert, there's a place called Al Wahat, which is basically this town with Bedouins who live. Completely different culture. Like, I feel like I went back like 100 years into this different world where I didn't see women in the street. But I wanted to tell you, even in Sahel now, there's this whole, you know, the Dubai culture that our friends are talking about who live in Dubai. I feel that's in Sahel as well. Like, it's not just about like Sahel culture, which is basically the north coast in Egypt. It's kind of like the Hamptons of New York, but the Sahel of Egypt, where like people go in the summer because it gets too hot in Cairo. So it's kind of like everyone's by the beach. And basically, and the north coast is beautiful, it's the Mediterranean Sea. But anyways, there's that culture of like basically keeping up with your appearance. People have cars here that they park here just for the summer, like rooftop.
Yeah, I remember you telling
cars.
me this before.
What the heck? I mean, no judgment, but a lot of judgment.
But only because it's bad for them. I feel like that's not a good I feel like that's not a good use of your energy.
But also, I feel like, who am I to tell people how they can spend their money?
But I don't think that it's about that. I think it's about...
We're talking about the culture of money here.
No, I know. But I think when we're talking about how people choose to buy something, if it is purely for the intention of showing off, I mean, you never know what it is in people that is making them do that. Like, maybe they had an upbringing where they couldn't afford these things, so they now are making up for it in adult life, or maybe there are countless other reasons. But I'm saying, whenever it comes to the fact where people can't afford it but they're living this lifestyle, I feel like it just makes me sad that that people feel the need to do that, and that we live in a society that makes people feel like they have to do that, you know. Yeah, that's it really. But you're right, like, who are we to judge at the end of the day? Like, people do what they feel is best for them. But I feel like if money was less of an insecurity, then these things wouldn't exist.
Oh, it's a huge insecurity.
Yeah.
But you know, like, Yani, even thinking about my relationship with money growing up, and like maybe the examples that I have two polar opposite examples, which is my mom and my dad. My dad is like a financial guy. He's very, like, he calculates money. He's not stingy, but he's careful, like most Arab dads. So my mom is she's a spender. And I have two polar opposite examples. I'm more towards like my dad than my mom. And I think I had this sense of judgment at one point when I felt like I had an awakening, which actually wasn't really an awakening, because when I was younger, you don't really think about money, right?
Yeah.
So I think when I think about my relationship with money when I was younger, it was like, for example, I understand that money brings me things. I had that kind of mindset when I was younger. Why can't they just print more? I don't get it.
Money
like,
grows on trees, right?
Yeah,
it's
like
paper.
It doesn't make sense. It technically made out of paper, grows on trees, blah, blah, blah. And then I think, though, the thing is, before I even start talking about this, I think, alhamdulillah, we're very privileged.
Alhamdulillah.
Because
exactly.
I was reading something online that was saying, if you don't know how much money like is coming into your household, you probably are privileged enough to not have to worry about it. But I feel like any family, we had struggles of like up and down, probably, but I think my parents it never made it known.
By the way, I feel like there's another important thing in terms of everything being relative. Like, one family might genuinely believe they're broke if they still have like 2 million in the bank. Do you know what I mean? Because the lifestyle that they live like eats that up so quickly.
Yeah, I think when I was younger, like things like I would have to ask my dad if, like, for example, if I wanted a Nintendo DS,
Oh
I would
my
have.
God, I remember that.
Did you ever have one?
Yeah, I did.
They were
I
so
loved
fun.
it. I had Nintendo dogs. Did you ever have that?
I didn't have that.
Yeah,
No.
I was gonna say. Maybe that could have
Is it like
been...
Tamagotchi?
Yeah, basically, but for dogs. But they made
okay.
them really cute, and I'm not even a dog fan, really.
Yeah.
Maybe you could play that, Noor, for your
Maybe
phobia.
to get over my dog phobia.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I would have to ask him a few times to get my Nintendo DS. Like, he was going on a trip to Dubai. I was like, we lived in Saudi at the time, can I please have a Nintendo DS? Like, everyone has it and it's so fun. And he'd come back and he wouldn't get it for me, so I'd have to ask again until he goes on the next trip. But I'm so happy that not everything that I asked for came naturally, because it showed that, like, it kind of instilled a bit of the value of money, and you'd get like your weekly allowance, like 10 riyals a week, be like, whoa, like I'm rich or whatever. But yeah, but I think I had this awakening, quote unquote awakening, when I was like, materialistic things don't matter, blah blah blah, when I was like 15, 16, right? And judging my mom, why are you buying these bags, like you don't need them, like it's just a logo, blah blah blah. And then now I feel like I'm in a middle spot where I'm like, I can see this, but I can also see that. And I want to be financially responsible. I want to be able to be more financially literate and have this like understanding of stocks and investing and be smart with my money, but also I feel like it's a completely foreign world.
Yeah, so alhamdulillah, we were very similar. Like, anything that we wanted, like, and that we really wanted, our parents would get it for us, you know, as like an Eid present or a birthday present. Like, if we wanted a big thing, like a Nintendo DS or whatever at the time, it would, like, we would wait until the next occasion, for example, and we would ask for it, and then we'd probably get it then, you know. But it was never a case of like, as soon as we want it, okay, that's it, like we'll have it straight in our hands, which I think could be, I mean, people live their lives differently, and maybe different parenting techniques like work differently for different people.
I think it works for different kids as well. Like, there's no right or wrong way.
Yeah, but I do think, like, alhamdulillah, it's good to not just be handed everything on a plate, and to know the value of money for sure. Yeah, like, I think they would want to make sure that we really did want this, and it wasn't just like, okay, we're flicking through and like, okay, I want this and this,
like
and
a
this,
phase.
and we have it, you know.
But I want to know your relationship with money. Like, what do you feel like you've had a journey? Because you started working at a younger age than I did. I only started working in like the first time I ever made money was during our placement year when I was 20.
Yeah. I had my little weekend job, like a lot of people in the UK do, at like 16, 17-ish. And that was just like a nice little bit of pocket money for me to go and like meet my friends and not have to ask my parents for money. Or
do you feel like it taught you like the value of money at all?
I feel like it gives you some kind of like independence, in the sense that, not independence from your family, but it makes you feel independent in that, okay, like I'm earning my own money and I'm spending my own money, and it gives you like a taste of adulthood at that kind of like coming of age, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's a good way, I think, almost to transition then to uni, where you can spend whatever, you know, and you're like fully responsible for everything that you are spending.
And budgeting and financing your own life, and not financing your own life, but like budgeting your finances, basically.
Yeah, exactly. I think the thing is, my family would actually all say that I'm a spender. They all think that I like don't have much value for money. They think that I pick something up, like I get it, I don't look at the price, whatever. That's how they believe that I am. But that's actually just because they're like quite careful with what they spend.
But how do you see yourself?
So, by the way, they're not stingy at all, alhamdulillah.
Why do I feel like we have to clarify that?
No,
like,
I know.
Even when I was talking about my dad, I was like, he's quite careful, but he's not stingy, I promise.
Yeah.
No,
because we don't want people, they're our parents, but we don't want people to think that about them, because that's just not the case. But they're careful with their money. Like, they want to know where it's going to, all of this stuff. And I think that that's because my dad really had to work for it, you know, like he was in like a small village in Syria called Marra, and then I came to the UK and worked, so he really understands and knows the value of money because he's had to put in a lot of effort for it, you know.
Yeah.
Which I think is the same case with a lot of immigrant parents, honestly.
Yeah.
I would say how it translates to my relationship with money is that I love myself.
And I want to treat myself.
like if I feel like I want to treat myself, I will, but it's never anything crazy. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, if I see, also I spend out of convenience.
I mean, time is money, so
I would say in my first few years of uni, it was the first time I was completely financially independent and responsible. My parents didn't have to see packages coming through the door and I didn't have to explain them. So I think I probably spent quite a lot, in uni on things that maybe I didn't need, and I would buy just loads of clothes and I would come to you and be like,
it was your own money.
Yeah, but afterwards I would be like, oh, I just bought this, and then like months later I didn't like it anymore, you know. And I remember having this kind of like awakening, almost learning from Noor in my second year, where I was like, do you know what, I'm gonna be more like you.
Yeah.
Listen, it's good to be careful with your money. Like, it's very good to be careful with your money, and I think that's something I also learned on my money journey, is that in that second year I was like, okay, I was like, no, you've inspired me. I want to only buy things when I really like them. And actually since second year,
if they spark joy.
Yeah, if they spark joy. And I think actually since second year, now I actually only buy things really if I really like them, or if I'm like, okay, I really want this, you know. Whereas I wasn't like that before.
No,
so
I can vouch
I think
on that.
actually and I remember us having this conversation in second year, so I actually think that you inspired that, or you did inspire that.